Hey everyone, at last I had a chance to play this game and what a ride. But I believe last year it had so much attention that it feels a bit pointless to share the experience as my usual reviews. On the other hand, let's check why I don't think it is perfect, or why I reduce some points from different categories. But let me know, if you played Expedition 33, what do you think about it? The idea is just to have a chat as I explain the game to some friends. Okay, since the beginning these are the scores I gave to each category once the credits start to roll. This doesn't mean it is bad or less in any way. If you haven't played it, I do recommend to give it a check. It was a really good experience. Now, for those who have followed this channel for a while, oftentimes you hear me put a lot of emphasis to the music. And yeah, I have nothing to add. It was simply beautiful. I'm still not a fan of tracks with lyrics, but it was interesting to hear that each character has a leitmotiv, which tells a piece of the story of that character. Now, I don't really know French, but some words here and there kinda match with Spanish and English, so it was quite interesting to hear a part of the narrative in what's going on in general, but I still prefer the instrumental versions. Perhaps my only small complaint here comes with some transitions. There are some tracks where there are transitions between executions that do not exactly match that well. But aside from that, it was simply beautiful. Something like this is what I would like to listen to in more games, rather than overusing the same combat themes countless times. With that out of the way, let's follow with the story. In general, I believe it was simply great. For those who have played Final Fantasy games, it is easy to see similarities here and there, and what can I say? Expedition 33 hits right away with some tear-jerking scenes. Yeah, I won't deny that I felt really sad. But it is also true that my thoughts revealed the ending almost at the beginning, and low-key that destroyed a bit the experience. That was like getting spoiled in the dumbest way. But hear me out. Some of you know I love horror games, and that The Evil Within was a game I destroyed, left and right back in the day. And for some reason, my mind kinda connected dots in a funny way, because there are twisted areas, buildings, and pretty much everything feels weird. Well, they have similar executions along the whole game, and of course, once I remember the first, the second also came to my mind, and I am sure some of you get where all of this is going. The last piece of the puzzle came from an anime named Paprika. Probably you know about Inception. Well, with this my brain instantly created something like a story, while I was traversing some dungeons and losing some time watching at the beautiful scenery. Maybe it was pure coincidence, but finding the right answer after playing for like 3 hours kinda destroyed the mood for some late scenes. I know some stories are created in a certain way to give the player the idea that they know what is going to happen. So when it happens, they feel like they are in control of the story, and here they felt like that in a certain way. Maybe I was paying so much attention that the puzzle was almost complete. Then again, maybe it was the dumbest way to spoil myself, but it is fair to mention that leaving some of those details aside, it was an interesting concept to check. I liked it a lot, not gonna lie. In the graphics department I have minor complaints too. The general idea is simply beautiful. There's plenty of extraordinary areas, and even if you do not have the right level to fight what's inside, it was always quite cool to give it a check. However, I cannot really say the same about some enemy designs, which felt either lazy or flat. I don't know. Plenty of mobs were like, okay. This was polarizing at some point, because some were near the end of the main campaign, some of them were simply extraordinary, or they caught my eye quite well. Maybe it was just my idea, but I wanted to see more of these weird creations or puppets with erratic movement. Other things that caught my eye, perhaps not the best of ways, is that flowers looked kinda weird, as if they were but water or a kind of liquid. By this point it is fair to mention that, for better or worse, the topic about AI caught my eye. I didn't read or check anything about it, because oftentimes the media dumps so much misinformation together, so that is a topic for the next weekend. But the deal is that some enemies and moments felt a bit cheap, at least putting everything in contrast. And last but not least, its gameplay. The reason why I reduced much more in comparison to other topics was because I wanted to explore, but for the most part everything is like a straight line. Ironically, the overworld was fascinating, but restrictive as heck. More often than not, they only said dangerous, and after a while it felt a bit pointless trying to look around, like yeah, it is fascinating and all, but I don't want to advance the main story. I wanted to roam around hoping to find something cool. And yeah, there were plenty of hidden areas, rooms with gimmicky things to do to unlock weird stuff, or cool pieces of music to play around. Yes, it is really ironic, but I was expecting to find a different kind of area. That happens kinda late in the game, because sometimes it is true that you can come back and jump into some of these places, but it is also true that plenty of them said the same about danger. Yeah, I was a bit fed up. I returned when levels were up and the marshmallow was able to fly, because exploring around felt kinda meh. Once I started hunting bosses and gathering my thoughts about the review, this feeling hit me. Is it me, or there's plenty of bosses that attack like 10, 20 plus times in a row? With this, don't get me wrong. At first, yeah, I struggled. For example, this mob destroyed me like 6 or 8 times, but after failing several times and getting the flow of the journey, most bosses or enemies felt a bit trivial, because I built my team in a way in which it was prepared to survive most assaults, or where reflexes pushed the finger to be stubborn as heck to just want to parry everything in front of me. While the avoid bottom existed, for some reason in my mind it was like, why bother, if it is possible to damage the enemy in their own game? So it was all about extending the boss fights while learning what they do in their gimmicky encounters, and then just parry for the win. While it was a fascinating mechanic, I won't deny that some boss battles felt a bit boring, while some others were simply fascinating, as there were interesting cues to stop certain moves and so on. And while I was enjoying and disliking parts of these fights, this realization came to my mind. I don't want to look similar mechanics in every turn-based game. Well, you get a pass, Super Mario RPG and other Mario franchises. But somehow this success makes me think that there is going to be a surplus of games imitating these things over and over again until it loses its charm. Yeah, well, then again, if you haven't played the game and it piques your interest, sure, give it a try. But beware that it can be kinda challenging while you get the hang of it. Later you will feel powerful until you fight some bosses that require specific approaches. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with the AI topic.